Okay, um, next thing we're gonna look at is we're gonna have a little bit of look here at the HRV data is the same as before. So if we just start from the top, we run everything, the psychometric data we fixed, and now we have the resting HRV, which we looked at last week, and then we have the cleaning of the HRV data, and then we can just look at data clean, training, sorry, this data clean resting HRV. You will see that we have for each date here, we have the HRV data for rest, and then we see the training HRV. Same here, we run and we check the data cleaning, data clean training HRV, and we have the HRV data for the training. Now one thing that we need to do with the raw training, the heart rate data is we load it, and then remember that we looked last time at how we calculate the trim values. Now in this case, if we would if we look at the raw data, sorry, we're actually not, because when we look at the raw HR data, and there's a lot of data here, right? We have 71,000 rows. That's a bit too much. But if we here we changed a couple of things. If I now here would do how this one looked before, was like this. So if we just take, we group by date, we calculate the heart rate zone, and then we group by date, so we have one for each date that you did training. Then we summarized it with the number of rows, which are the seconds, and divide by 60 to get minutes, and then we take the heart rate zone, we take the sum of the heart rate zone and divide by 60, and then we didn't have this one either, but if we run this now and look at the data clean training, you will see here that we have a bunch of missing data, right? So we see here that, for example, the 6th of May, there is supposed to be 45 minutes of training, but we don't have any training trim. And the reason for this is, so if we would take this day and look in the raw data, so data raw training HR, and then we look at, the date, we said that we're going to look at the 6th of May, so we just scroll down here, probably quite a long bit, here. So if you see here, these are all the individual seconds of the 6th of May training. Let's see where we start here. Let's scroll up to the start of this. 4 here, the 6th. So what happened is, if you see here, we have the heart rate for most of the seconds and everything, but then we have, in this case, the first 2 seconds with missing heart rate data. And if you remember from the class in the fall, when we use the sum function to sum up all the heart rate zones data from that date in the summarize, is that as soon as there is a missing value in one, if we have the NR, like if we don't tell it anything, it's gonna just make everything missing data. So when we have a bit of missing data that we're okay with just excluding, what we needed to do here was nr.rm, so na remove true. So now when we run this and we check the data clean, you see that we don't have any missing anymore. And the reason for this is because now it just, instead of compounding, we call it, so instead of saying, here is one missing value, then all the sum should be missing, because what is missing plus 76? We can't calculate missing plus 76. So then you just say it's missing. We don't have enough data. And now with the NARM, we tell it that, okay, what we're going to do is here just exclude those two when it comes up. Just exclude the rows that have missing data. Ignore them completely. So that's good. But now when we go in and look here, we see training, and here we see that we have one with 0, right? So we have a training trim of 0. That doesn't really make sense, right? Because probably there should have been, some kind of, in any moment of the workout, probably this person should have done more than resting heart rate. So if we go and look at this one, the 19th of May, we check which date did we say? We said the 19th of May. So if we scroll down here, 16, 19 here. Here we see, once we get down to 19 again, what we see here is, okay, here it looks like maybe the heart rate monitor didn't work or something, or there was some kind of problem here, so it doesn't read the data. First thing we should go here then is to go and look at the heart rate training, and then we look at the 19th, then we open here. Sorry, that was the here we see the problem in this case, right? That it actually took the heart rate variability data, not the heart rate data. So here we would need to fix this one, go back and check, did I just save down the wrong file? Could we fix it? And these things. So that's one thing to do to actually fix that one. The other thing we could do, if you have more where you actually, maybe the heart rate monitor didn't work, is to include here to say that after we calculate this, now we want training trim to say NA if. So we want to introduce missing data if the training trim is equal to 0. So if it sums it all up to 0, then we want it to be missing instead, because it shouldn't really be 0. That should be almost impossible in the train. So here we have it to 0. In this case, this is not the solution, because the solution is to find the correct file, and if you don't find the correct file, maybe just delete it. But to have this one in here is a guard for if you had a training session, you have the date, you have the correct file, and it's just missing the heart rate data. And then the last thing we did do here, we added from last time, is we calculate what is the training trim generated per minute of training time. Because this one now, when we look at the data, now we have this is training duration, right? And this is training intensity. So duration plus intensity is the volume. So now we have a measure of training amount, training volume, training intensity, and training training duration, training intensity, and training volume. Good. Next thing is that we actually have, if we look at the psychometric data, we have one more thing in here, which is RPE. So we did ask about what is the level here. Now we see we have a couple of non-numeric. If you are the one analyzing this, you somehow need to fix this to get a numeric value. If this one is based on the CR scale or CR10 scale or one of the, then you need to fix those values, and if not, you cannot use it. But if we could use this, because this is a measure of training intensity, right? Which means that we can now we could analyze, take the RPE, how hard was the training, and multiply it by how long was the training session, and then we get a secondary measure of training volume, right? So to do that, we need to join all the data together, right? Because we have the RPE comes from the psychometric data, but the training duration, the minute of training, comes from the data clean training. So we need to join these together, and now we can calculate the session RPE, which is the RPE times training minute. So we run this, and now we run into a problem. Error in RPE times training minute, non-numeric argument. Okay, if we look at the data here, we can see that when we get to RPE, that this is a character, right? It's text. And that makes sense, because when we go in and look at it, it was a couple of persons that wrote comments, right? Like text comments here. And when there are some text comments, that's gonna be read. Not for this individual, sorry. When we looked at the raw psychometrical data, it's gonna read the RPE column as text, because there are some text in it. So now we need to go back and fix that, and I'm gonna send you this file so you have it already fixed. But when we clean the psychometric data, we need to also say here, we fix the date, we fix the scales. Now we also need to fix, so RPE is as numeric RPE. So we take the RPE column, convert it to a numeric value, and then save it in the same column again. So we run this, and now when we have this, we see that if we join the data and try to clean it and check the data clean, now you see that we have here, we have the index, we have resting heart rate variables, we have training HRV data, but we have training minutes, volume, training duration, training trim is volume, training trim per minute is intensity, and session RPE is volume. And then we have one last thing. We added week and training block to do the actual analysis. And you could do this a couple of different ways. What I did in this case was just to say that the week is, so case when the date column, so we take the data joined, we look at the data joined, and we see that when the date is smaller or equal to the 3rd of May, then it should be week 1. 10th of May, week 2. Now, these exact dates might be different for you, because depending exactly when you started and finished. But here you just say, which is the last date of week 1? When is the last date of week 2? Last date of week 3, and so forth. And then based on the weeks, we know that if week is in week 1 or week 2, then we are in block 1. If week is 3 or 4, we're in block 2, and if week is 5 or 6, we're in block 3. So this gives us the this is the data join, sorry. We run this, and with the data clean now, we see that we have these two, so we can do analysis by week or by block. And then the last thing is that we write this data.